Hello again. This is part 4 of the tutorial. My name is Senko Jin. We're going to go over how to set up your file for the creation kit. So let's get started. Now one thing I did off the screen is I made my serrated edge for the blade. And I did it the same way as I set up the other sword blade. Or I did the blade, I did the handle, I did a secondary blade. This is a serrated blade. To show you that you can switch out parts in the creation kit. So let's do that now. Open the creation kit. It's going to take forever. Go to File, Data, click the master file for Fallout 4, and hit OK. So this warning thing is always going to pop up when you load stuff, so I just move it down to the bottom so it doesn't get in my way. Now you want to match our weapon that we're loading into the game to the weapon that you've used before for the NIF. So we use the Chinese officer sword. So I click in the filter, type in Chinese. It's going to bring up everything that has to do with the Chinese officer sword. And now this funky looking little file right here where it says form type and it says weapon, this is the actual weapon. So we want to change this file. We're going to name this. This ID is the way the game recognizes the weapon. So tutorial sword, and the name of the weapon is what it's named in game. So it's named the sword. Value is how much the weapon's worth. Weight is how much it weighs. Reach doesn't do anything. I don't know. You can change this number to as much as you want. It doesn't affect the reach of the weapon. It's still what it is. Speed doesn't change anything. Reload speed is for guns. Now the damage is how much the weapon starts off with stats wise. So let's change this to 18. Don't hit enter. If you hit enter, it's going to create a new form, which I didn't want to do yet. Damn it. Actually, let's just start this over again. Because I forgot to do something. So I'm going to name this Chinese tutorial sword. The reason for this is that when I type in this filter for Chinese, it's going to bring this up. So I can change it later for simplicity's sake. Still name this sword. Change this to 18. Don't hit enter like I did before. Now this right here is the crit damage multiplier, how much it multiplies on a crit. I don't know what this does. Don't know what these do. And this is the stagger amount. So when you hit something, like if they fall back and how much it takes them to recover. Melee speed doesn't do anything. All melee speed's tied to the animation of the weapon, which you can't change unless you physically make a new animation for the weapon. Now this right here in keywords, it says mod associated. This has to do with all the mods that are associated with this sword. So when you have the Chinese officer sword and you put serrations on it, the game knows that the serration mod is available for this sword because of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this. We're going to come back and add our own in later. Then go to art and sound. Go to edit. This is the handle. So we want to change it to our handle. Navigate to where our handle is, which Mine already knew where it was, but if yours doesn't, just navigate to wherever it is that you've placed your handle. Open, okay, edit, change third and first person handle, open, okay, and attack sound is how it sounds when you attack things, equip sound is how you equip it, and then these are the impact sets. So just leave these alone. Hit OK, change it to a new form, yes. Alright, so now this has our Chinese officer sword from the game and then ours that we just made. So now what we need to do is make the null file for the miscellaneous mod, or mismod. What this does is that when you make a mod and you take it off, you put a different one on, it keeps you from having to remake it. So let's make the standard one. So click on standard, change the officer to tutorial, hit OK, make a new form, yes. So now we're going to make the recipe. This tells the game what you need to make it. So standard, change officers to tutorial, or whatever it is you're naming for your weapon. Now you can name this whatever you want. I just do it this way so that way I can find it easier when I'm making a mod, because if I'm copying a bunch of things like I'm doing now, it's easier to just find it, name it the same, so that way it comes right back in to the same spot. And now we're going to name the mod. So this is the recipe, this is the mod that allows you to reattach it to your weapon after, so you have to make it twice. And this is the actual mod in the game of what it does. So go to null, which is the same thing as standard. Change this to whatever it is that you want to name it. Tutorial. And this is the name of the what it's going to be called in game. So when you open it up, it's like it's serrated or it's electric. This is the name of the mod. It shows in the actual field of the name. So we're going to go to here, and we're going to click our blade, because this is what's going to attach to the handle. So there's our blade. Hit OK. Pick our loose mod. Chinese tutorial sword, standard. That's what we want. Now the reason why this has two of these here is because we haven't. It's assigned to two different swords, two different recipes, but this will go away in a second. So change that. We're going to change this here in a second. Hit OK. Create a new one. Yes. Go to this one, the MA_Chinese sword. Make this tutorial, or whatever you want to name it, to keep the naming convention the same. Tutorial sword. Hit OK. Yes. Go back to our original sword. Click in here. Go to add. MA_Chinese tutorial sword. Hit OK. So now any mod associated with the tutorial sword is going to show up on our weapon, which is what we want. Hit OK. Now we can go back down, open this up. I'm sorry. Go to tutorial sword standard. Now this right here is the name of the recipe, and this is what the recipe is going to make. So in our case, we want to make. Did I make that yet? Yes, I did. Right here. Thought I did. So pick the one that we've made the mod for, the normal one. Hit OK. So now when you go back down here to this officer, or this Chinese officer sword, it'll just be one now, because it was tied to two before. Click this, delete that, add new, tutorial sword, whatever it is that you named it, hit OK. Alright, so now this is completely set up to have just your weapon in the game. There's nothing else you need to do unless you want to put mods on it. So now I'm going to show you how to add a mod to it. Same thing as before. We're going to go to the recipe that we want to duplicate. So in my case, I'm going to add a serrated blade, so I want to make a serrated mod. So click on serrations, or whatever it is you want to make it. So as before, this is the name of the recipe, and this is what it's going to make. Since we haven't made the mod yet, which is one of these, we're just going to make the recipe for it, and we'll go back in later and change this. So these are the recipe requirements. So adhesives, fiberglass, oil, and steel. If you want to add something to it, just right click, new, clear the filter, hit C, then underscore. And anything you see with the C underscore is a crafting component that you can use to make stuff with. So cork, copper, cloth, and then circuitry, ceramic, bone, so on and so forth. So whatever you want to make your new weapon, you can put it in there. And this is the amount that it's cost. So when you make something, it'll say like, it'll ask you to start off at 100. Just change it to whatever it is you want to make it. These right here are perks. So if you want to change this, just hit. The easiest way I found to do this is duplicate this, go in, and then change this. So this has a perk. Click on that, click this, and this will tell you like, alright, what perk do you want the person to be able to make this as? So you can put Gunfu 01. So if they have Gunfu 01, they need Gunfu 01 and Blacksmithing 2 in order to make this mod. So change the name, tutorial sword, serrated, hit OK, yes. So now we'll make the loose mod, so pick the serrated one, change this to tutorial, or your current naming convention, hit OK, yes. Now we're going to actually make the mod. So delete this, new, sorry, don't hit new, hit add. Go up here, change the name, tutorial sword. Now again, this is the name of whatever it is that you're going to be making in the mod section that pops up. Change this to your secondary mesh that if you want to swap out blades. So mine's going to be a new serrated blade, so I'm picking the serrated blade. So as you can see, it's different. It's got these little serrations in it. Hit OK. Change the loose mod to this one that we made earlier. And this has two, like I said before, because it's assigned to two different ones. So we'll change that in a second. So just hit OK, make a new mod, yes. Go back up to the recipe of what we just made. So tutorial sword serrated. And now you're going to pick the serration one. Tutorial sword serration. Right there. Hit OK. Now this should change this to only have one of these now, and it does. So this is correct. This is good. Now this right here changes the damage. It's in percentage. So this does an extra 75% damage over normal. This changes the value. This gives the enchantment, PE enchantment, and then PK keywords. This will give it the name of serrated. So if you add this on there, it's going to be sword, and then it'll be serrated sword like it does in the game. So I don't really want this. So I'm going to delete this. So you can mess around with this. This is where you go in and change all the enchantments that are in the game. So if you wanted, these are all the legendary enchantments. So you can put like legendary bleed, or weapon has heals allies, frenzy, and so on and so forth. And if you add these multiple times, so if I took this and added bleed, I think bleed damage is like, I think 15 when you hit something. I'm not exactly sure. But if you repeat this, so if you keep adding these, so if I put 100 of these in, it'll do whatever bleed does times 100. So you can actually stack these, and it'll keep stacking, like the effects stack. So we're done with that. Hit OK. And believe that's it. So you got the serrated, got the null. Yeah, I think that's it. So in the next part of the tutorial, we're going to set up the follow edit to make that the mods to make sure that they work in the game. Kind of hard to explain, so I'll show you what I'm talking about in the next tutorial. So see you next time.